Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I'm Martha Brown, your host for today's activities, and I'm tickled to present Peggy Spear today. She's going to bring us art that has things to do with rodeo from from the collection of Damon Carter Museum of American Art. I can't wait, and it's probably got some Remington in it. I hope so. Peggy, take it away.
Well, I'm setting you up for disappointment, Martha. There's no Remington in this.
Okay.
But hopefully the other artwork speaks to you.
Yes, it will. And I can always go down the street and look at Remington, right?
Yeah, we're just a stone's throw from you.
Yes.
All right, well, as we know, it is rodeo season here in Fort Worth, and it is the last week of rodeo. It closes on the 6th, which is the Sunday. So we right now are sharing parking lot with the rodeo. So we are very intimately aware of what is happening across the street. And so with Amon G. Carter being the founder of our museum, there's also a lot of ties to the rodeo as well. So we thought, let's look at some rodeo pictures.
Yes. Peggy, does having the rodeo here increase your traffic at all?
No.
Sorry.
You know, it's really interesting. We don't deliberately avoid events in January because parking is a mob scene, because everybody's going to the stockyard, or the grounds. And January is just kind of a slow time of the year anyway, but we know we are competing with the rodeo. So we'll have people come in looking for the Western art specifically, but generally our attendance doesn't spike at all during this 23 days of horses and bulls.
Wow. Thank you for that education.
Yeah, it's always kind of interesting. So, but when they do come, they're always looking for the Western art. So we know we have a type that come.
Yeah.
So this first one we're going to look at, this is not on view right now. It is a photograph of Reno Rip leaving Spitfire.
And he's leaving Spitfire. That's an interesting way to put it.
As if it were a choice.
Yeah, exactly right.
So what do we see? We see someone, being thrown from the horse.
Yes.
What else do you see?
A very sharp image.
Very sharp image.
I mean, the mane at least is sharp.
Yeah.
Um,
you pick up on the motion of it. I mean, like,
yes.
It's
2
a
feet off
very
the ground.
dynamic photograph for it being a photograph.
How big is it?
I have that 3x5, so it's tiny little.
3x5.
Oh, it's a little one.
Yeah, it's like an index card. And you can, it says at the bottom what the title of the artwork is. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but it says Reno Rip leaving Spitfire. So I don't know. I was not able to find what rodeo where this particular photograph was taken, but there's a lot written, a lot about this artist, Ralph Doubleday. He's credited as being the first rodeo photographer in the US. And well, I guess the rodeo was invented in the US and Australia. But he was the first one to actually take action photographs, which was a real credit to him because photographers did not want to risk their film and camera being destroyed, plus life and limb, to photograph action shots of bucking broncos and bull fighting and things like that. So he went to his first rodeo, I want to say in like 1910, and then photographed rodeos for like the next 30-40 years, and he really made a name for himself. And so he this wasn't something he did as a profession, but when his photographs started selling as postcards and prints, he decided to transition and make it a career, and really was able to run with it.
It's hard for me to understand just in my brain, that picture was 20 years before I was born. Because it could be a picture from last year.
Sure.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. It's so
Well-
timeless.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Martha. It really is.
Because you can't see the background very well, as you
Mhm.
say. You can't tell where it was from.
No. And this is obviously an outdoor rodeo.
Yep.
And his first,
Don't you think, sorry, that it would be in Reno since it says Reno on the picture?
that could be the rider's name.
Yeah, that's
a
what I
lot of
think.
riders had nicknames that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
Oh,
could have been, I could not find anything on this specific rider, Reno Rip. But it could have been, it was in Reno and he was a local, rider that everyone loved, but I couldn't find the location of the photograph. His first, he really beat the pavement, proverbial pavement of all the rodeos that were happening in the country. And so his first one he went to was the Frontier Days in Cheyenne. I don't know if any of y'all been to that. It is so much fun.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, he went, that was his first rodeo and he took pictures. And then after that, he kind of decided, well, this is what I'm going to do.
Really, that's good.
Mhm.
I like his chaps are blowing up,
Yep.
showing the movement.
It's such a
That's
fun
perfect.
photograph. And he's using a bigger camera to try to capture these, so
Wow.
he was having to be in the right place, having to snap it at the right time, the exposure, all of the technical thought that needed to go into capturing a picture like this.
Right.
When in such an unpredictable scenario.
Yeah.
His pictures are really fun. And so if you Google his name, you'll see all sorts of different rodeo images that he took. But it's such a pretty, and like you said, Martha, kind of an iconic, timeless,
Yeah.
when you think of like a bucking bronco, this is kind of the thought you think of. And so he was able to capture these first images of riders being thrown and things like that, because no one else was taking these types of pictures before him.
Mhm.
Or like pictures and sculptures where the horse is not bronking, but it's riding. What do you call it when they pull up
Mhm.
their feet off the ground?
Rearing up?
What's that?
Rearing up.
Rearing up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of those things too, because photographs weren't being taken of those of a rearing horse or whatever, a lot of it came from imagination of what these artists either had seen or kind of created in their mind. Here we're seeing truly what that looks like and capturing that moment, which was really a moment in art history photography, where now this is a whole new genre of photographs that people were able to see, especially in the East where, rodeos weren't a thing.
Yeah.
And, unless they saw, Buffalo Bill kind of
Buffalo Bill.
through,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
generally did not see rodeo on the East Coast.
So do you know what the time frame for Buffalo Bill and
No,
his
and I
Wild West show?
don't offhand. I should. We even had a exhibition about the Buffalo Bill era.
How long is
And
Buffalo
And
Bill?
it was probably around the same time, maybe looking into the 30s. I don't think it was
Okay.
going on during the Depression, but I really
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay.
Wikipedia
Mhm.
is pulling it up for me.
Tell
William
us more.
Frederick Buffalo Bill Cody, if that helps, 1846 to 1917.
Okay, so he was early 1900s.
Yeah.
He was pretty too.
Yeah.
For a cowboy.
I went to his grave. It's in Colorado, there he is.
Yeah.
The legend is that he was buried in Colorado. And so there's a museum in, I want to say Lookout Point, Colorado, something like that. And then there's a museum in Cody, Wyoming that
Okay.
it used to be the Buffalo, now it's called the Buffalo Bill Historical Center. Or it's changed from the Buffalo Bill Historical Center to now all encompassing. There's like 5 different branches of this museum,
Wow.
but it has a lot of his ephemeral things. All right, so we're gonna leave Reno Rip.
Bye.
Yeah.
And we're now
Oh, yeah.
in our
Ooh.
own Coliseum. We are at the Fort Worth Stock Show.
Hmm.
So I'm sure many of you have been to the old Coliseum.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Probably only been to the old Coliseum because last year was 2 years ago was the first rodeo in the new Dickies Arena.
That's right.
Mhm.
So
Nancy,
what are we seeing here?
He's trying to get a bronking buck under control.
Mhm.
He's,
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually they try to release the saddle or the straps that are making
Yeah.
the pain for the bronc, but this looks like he's still upset.
Yeah.
are there 3 humans in this picture or at the, I see way far off, but are there 3 humans in this one or just 2?
There's 3. There's a man here, a
Yeah.
man here,
Yeah.
and a man here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I don't know which is the rider, which was the cowboy, but
I imagine the rider may be off camera on his
yeah,
rear
right. He
end.
might be rolling the other way, but they don't look like rodeo clowns, which we
They
have coming up.
Mhm. Nancy, did you ever go to the old Coliseum and see horse shows?
In San Francisco?
Fort Worth.
I haven't been to Fort Worth, no.
Ah, well, that's a treat. Somebody should take you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when Myra and I first moved down here in 1979, 1980 was the first year that January came around, and they didn't call it. It was called the Southwest Expedition and
Mhm.
Fat Stock Show.
Fat, yes.
They dropped the fat some time ago.
So this was, okay, so that's funny you say that. So this photograph, Winogrand, we've talked about Winogrand in the past. He did a lot of street photography, which is kind of a misnomer. It's basically like photography of everyday life that has a candid feel to it, but isn't necessarily as candid as just taking a snapshot. Anyway, this photograph is the cover piece for a book he took of images, or for a book he made of images he took at the Fort Worth Stock Show. And the title of it includes the Fort Worth Fat Stock Show and Rodeo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was still its name in the 70s. I don't know when it changed, but
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember when it changed. I don't remember what kind of year it is, but seems like was the perception that people were put off by fat, even though that's what they did.
Funny, I've never seen that. It hit me kind of funny when I was doing the research.
That actually it's still, they still get the animals grown and weighed a lot, weighed more.
Yeah.
So that was one of the credentials or
Yeah.
requirements, is that they were big and fat.
Some of those cows fit that fit that
Oh, yeah.
bill.
And some of those pigs too. I mean, I
Oh
don't
my
know if you've ever
gosh,
seen
yeah.
pigs.
Or bunnies, those bunnies. Oh my,
Oh, yeah.
in the cages.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite to see though. Or when you see like the little sheep just kind of moving
Like,
around.
what am I doing here? Just
I know.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny. I'm not a huge rodeo person. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast, so like moving down here, this was something like so foreign to me. I didn't even, it was like almost comical that this is like a real thing to me. And the mutton busting I had never seen before or even heard of. And that was a trip. Like the confidence to throw your kid on the back of a lamb or
Yeah.
sheep and just let them run. I was like, oh my God, this is hysterical to watch, but I don't think I would ever let my children. But I mean, if you have a daredevil of a child who's not scared, then why not?
Well, yeah, I've seen representations in historical shows that show children riding sheep,
Mhm.
and they're getting in trouble for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think of my kids with our dog. Like you can understand, you're like, well, they just kind of wound up on the animal. So, you know, there are farms happening where these kids were like, you want to get on the lamb or the sheep?
Peggy, I have a picture question.
Yeah.
On the level where the horse's mane is,
Mhm.
if you look to the left, there's further to the left, the shadow. Any
Mhm.
idea what that is?
No, I don't. It could just be a particle that was the flash is flashing off of it, and it's actually closer to us than it seems in the picture. It seems like it's receding, but it could be a dust particle, which God knows how dusty the inside of those rodeos are. Because you can see other little orbs
Oh, yeah.
that are reflecting.
Yes. Okay.
It could have been that, and the flash is so he's obviously taking this indoors. The flash was really important to these pictures because it heightened the dramatic sense of what was going on.
Mhm.
You get this sense of that flash happening just as the moment, and you can see it in his eyes, I mean, kind of the aura of the light. So the flash really does contribute to the overall composition of his work, particularly indoors.
I bet the flash didn't make the horse feel any better either.
I know.
So
Poor
Myra pointed out there's a guy over here on the right side, the very right side, that looks like he's walking away.
Yeah,
Looks like he's got his hat on. That might have been the rider.
you're right. That could be.
That's kind of what I figure. And that, as far as that thing we were just talking about, that could be a timer that the light's flashing back. Because there's
over
a
here?
timer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it just feels like, and things happen so quickly at these types of shows.
Yeah.
And he caught such a fleeting moment. And some of the things, when you're reading about Winogrand, sometimes it like people didn't even know he was taking the picture because he was taking them so fast. And he's thought to estimate it to have like over 1 million photographs he took in his lifetime. So he's just constantly snapping, and then going back and looking at what he took. And his whole philosophy was, I really want to take a photograph for the sake of taking a photograph and to capture this everydayness. And if it means something to somebody else later on, that's even more, I'm getting more out of it than I could have imagined. So he was really interested in framing the everyday inside the confines of a photographic shot.
Yeah.
And so again, kind of like what Martha sagely said about the last one, there's a timelessness to this that it could be rodeo in the 30s, it could be a rodeo in this season. It feels this moment, or you've seen this type of moment happening in the ring.
When you said that he took 1 million pictures and then looked for the best, I have to smile when I see that this was bequest of Elliott Porter. Of course, he would love this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a bunch of Gary Winogrand's that his estate that were given to us. So yeah, of course.
Well, of
The
course.
everydayness.
Mm-hmm.
And in a totally different way that Elliott Porter was doing. I mean, this just feels so chaotic and cacophony and just busy. And then you think of the everyday stillness that Porter is taking. So yeah, this is kind of his creative treat, something he's not doing, but still very much relate to.
Yes.
Why are we talking about, bequest of Elliott Porter?
Yeah, so he received this through Porter's estate.
Okay, so I have one more thing, just real quick.
Mhm.
I may be confused about what you said. You were saying that he was taking pictures of the horse quickly?
Yeah, just every day life moment. So in this particular instance, the horse was in the photograph, but not necessarily were the series of photographs from this visit having to do with animals at all. It was just kind of the everydayness of what rodeo life looks like.
Well, I guess I just always thought the gelatin silver print went with plates or something like that.
No. It basically this was able to be developed back in the studio, not on site. It was, on film.
Okay.
And he was able to, this is in the 70s now. So it was handheld. Some people didn't even realize he was often taking pictures because it was discreet enough. So that's kind of the beauty of some of his photographs, that he was able to get that candidness because no one always saw the camera. So think of yourself, you might change kind of your demeanor when you're being photographed, which he was trying to get away from. He lived in New York for a really long time. And so he was always at the zoo, at the library, things like that, taking photographs of what New York life looked like, and made a name for himself because of the the candidness, so to speak, of his photographs. And
Okay,
so
thank you.
he was teaching at University of Texas when he came up to see the rodeo, and he was at UT from 73 to 78. So we've looked at a photograph of his before. We've looked at a few, but the one you might remember was when he was on the sidelines at the UT football game against OU.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I remember that.
there was like a forward drive happening, and he's literally standing on the field next to a referee taking the
Yeah.
photograph. So that's, very true to his style of catching the movement, catching not a mundane, but just a moment in a much larger picture.
Okay.
Okay, we got,
Beauty.
well, I'm gonna go, yeah, did someone say something?
Nope.
I just said beauty.
I'm gonna jump, I'm gonna skip over a photograph while we're talking about Fort Worth. This is actually in our collection, and this is in our archives collection that with Eamon Carter, this was part of the archives we received. These are all of the pins that have been created ever since the rodeo started
Wow.
in Fort Worth.
Wow.
That's
So-
impressive.
It's really cool. And we were joking. I was talking to the archivist, and we were joking because it started off as a true pin, and now it's like a belt buckle. Like it
Yeah,
gets
exactly.
bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
But these pins, you put them on, it gets you on the grounds for the entire, you just show them your pin, and you get to go on the grounds throughout the entire run of the stock show. So all of these were Eamon Carter's, and then we continued purchasing them after Eamon Carter passed.
Mhm.
And so our director will wear the pin when he heads over to the shows, or
Yeah.
it doesn't get you into the rodeo for free, but it gets you into the grounds for free. And then the roadhouse, I don't know if you've ever been to the roadhouse, but that's where the drinking and the dancing happens. So
No, I would never be there.
No.
No.
you might not remember being in the roadhouse, but you were in the roadhouse at one point. I
Yeah.
promise you.
Hey, let me ask another question about this. Now,
Mhm.
didn't this rodeo stock show start in the 1890s or something like that?
Yeah, in the late 1800s. And so of course, my archivist just is the things he knows, it's wild. And so they have this right now on view in the library. We put it up every rodeo season, the pins. So those who are coming from the rodeo are able to see the collection of pins. And this is Eamon G at one of but yeah, it started in the 1880s, I believe. And our archivist played a trivia game with me, which I'll give to you all. There have only been 2 times that the stock show has been canceled in the entire run of it.
Wow.
And do you have the guesses on which they are? What the reasons are?
The COVID.
COVID
pandemic?
was one.
Oh, could it be the Second World War somehow?
Yeah, you got it. I think it was
Wow.
1942 or 43. It was canceled because of World War II.
I was thinking right there around,
Oh.
when was Pearl Harbor? Was that in 41 or 42?
It was in late 41.
Yes.
So in January 42, that might have still been shaken.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and when did America enter the war? Around there,
45?
right?
45, but I don't know when.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it
it-
was late.
wasn't it-
It was late.
It was late. Was it not right when Pearl Harbor was attacked?
Well, yeah, that part was pretty quick, but we went against Japan. We weren't going against Europe at the time.
Yeah, okay.
So you can see here's a little closer view of some of the pins. And I couldn't find anything about the artists and who, if they're a call for artists, or if just like the committee of whoever runs, the governing body that runs the stock show votes on it together. But you can see here it says the Fat Stock Show, and
Yep.
then Fat Stock Show, and it seems to be gone by whatever year this is. 1991.
That makes sense. That's probably right.
89's gone, yeah. So anyway, this was 2020's. Of course, we didn't have it in 2021. So we have one for 2022 that will be on view next year when we have this
Okay.
display.
So I guess the question I was really asking before was there a pin for the first stock show?
I couldn't I would assume, but I don't know. This doesn't look like 100.
No, it does not.
So maybe not here. We can see the selection of badges chronicles the annual report, blah, blah, blah. Many of the badges belonging to one of the exhibition's most prominent supporters, Eamon G., who was serving as vice president of the event in 1924, was among those who guided the Sox. So this might actually be when he started collecting in like the 1920s.
Okay, well, actually, I did a count of the top row, and if you just multiply it by 6, it could be 100 years over 100
Close
years.
to, yeah.
I just counted them and there are 81.
81, okay.
Yetta, good for
Good
you.
on you, sister. Yeah, so you can see a picture of inside the Coliseum. All right, so we got one more photograph.
Oh,
You need your comic relief. So we've got our rodeo clowns. And so this was kind of interesting. I went down a rabbit hole kind of researching the history of what a rodeo clown is. And they're actually like very athletic. They're not clowns. I mean, it's like such a misnomer to call them clowns.
Yeah,
They're something I read formally calls them, I want to make sure I'm getting it right, because rodeo protection athlete.
yes.
Okay.
That's very well described, I think.
Yeah. And so, I mean, honestly, they should be like daredevils, the confidence of these guys. But they started in the 1920s adding this rodeo rider protector, basically, because they switched the types of bulls they were using that were a little more aggressive. So they needed somebody to distract the bull while the rider was then running off to safety. And then it's and so they were wearing baggy clothes, and then their baggy clothes kind of evolved into something kind of comical. And then in 1930s, that's when they introduced the barrel. So it kind of evolved as the bull riding evolved. And so then they were expected to be kind of the comic relief and buck back at the announcer and put on a little show to entertain the crowd when it was in between bull riders and stuff like that. So they were kind of doing double duty, but the primary goal was to protect the rider, and it's almost like a bullfighter. So some people called them bullfighters because they were the ones that were then summoning the bulls to come to them.
Yeah.
And then now, you will see some of the clown makeup, but now, of course, like every other sport in the world, they're wearing sponsored t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
So it's turned into another advertising billboard, but as time evolved, some of the silliness of their costumes died down because it was an opportunity for people to advertise.
So I don't know if this is real, but in movies or films that I've seen about rodeos where these guys in a bull ring, they actually jump in a barrel to get the bull at them, and they just get down in the barrel and let the bull knock them around. I mean, that's hard.
Oh, I can only imagine. And they're not wearing any at least then they weren't wearing any padding or anything like that.
They weren't.
I think now they are. I mean, they should be if they're not, but I think there is some padding, maybe helmets. I don't really know, but
I'm sure OSHA wants it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I feel like these people are like the unsung heroes of the event, but with the name clown, their clout isn't as high as it should be. And so this particular photograph, we don't know who the artist was, but it was, you can see at the bottom, like the other, it's identified Midsummer Roundup Salida. So this was in Colorado, and this particular rodeo always happened on 4th of July. And then, so it started in 1927, and by 1932, with the Great Depression, this particular rodeo stopped.
Well, this makes me, go ahead, Don.
I didn't hear the date. So 1942.
It started 1927 and ended by 1932-ish.
32. Okay, gotcha.
This makes me want to go to a rodeo just seeing the clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're entertaining.
Well, if you want, there's a rodeo that goes pretty much year round over in Mesquite, where the prisoners have their rodeo periodically.
Oh,
So,
They
Isn't
do.
the one in the stockyard, Don, as well, every Saturday? Friday and Saturday.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Every Friday and Saturday, there's some kind of rodeo.
We have
But
a
yeah.
friend who's a barrel racer. He's racing this Sunday. We're gonna go see him. We did
Oh,
not go to
great.
the rodeo.
Well, we've got to get Nancy to go to a rodeo. That's all there is to it. Nancy, do
I-
you
In
think
for a
we could be
treat.
able to do that?
Yeah, get her a cowboy hat and bandana and she'll be one of the crowd.
She will
Yeah.
be one of the crowd. Yes.
All right,
Well-
friends. Well, those are our cowboys this week. Rodeo ends Sunday, so we won't see them again until next year.
Well, thank you very much, Peggy. That
Yeah,
was
nice.
next week,
Thank you.
I will be back with Red because it's Valentine's Day coming up. And
Interesting.
then Yetta, our Olympic season is kicking off tomorrow. So we'll do sports later in the month too.
Okay,
All
great.
right, good.
All right,
Yeah.
friends. Well,
Right.
stay safe and stay warm. God only knows what to expect with this ice storm, but I hope everybody
That's right.
stays good.
Yeah, you too.
All right,
too.
bye, friends.
Thank you, Miss Peggy.
Bye.
Have a great
Bye.
night.
Until next week.
Kiss the, oops. I started to say kiss the babies for me.
Can't. She's gone.
Hey, Nancy.
All gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, here we go. Oh, am I sharing?
Yes.
Okay, good. Peggy Spear and Rodeo. And then next at 11:30, we have Where in the World is Heather? And I don't know where she's going to go today. And at 1:30, come on, Martha, Nia, Moving to Heal so we can warm up our bodies before it gets cold tonight. And then tomorrow, bingo. All day long, all day long. We're starting a new month, brand new bingo game. Nancy won last month. Oop, poof.
Oops.
Nancy won last month with 8 games. So let's,
That's right, Nancy.
Yeah,
she just
Oh, she's
poofed
got-
away.
she has a good card.
She must have a good card. That's right. And we've just gotten almost up to 100. So it'll be interesting to do a new sequence going back down.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. So Hans and Yetta, you said you're going somewhere and won't be here.
We are going, yeah.
Okay.
So we are going to leave.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's been great to see you.
It was
Yeah.
good seeing you too, yes.
Yes,
Hans,
Yes.
it's always good to see your smiling face.
yes, it is.
Yes,
You
you're
stay,
so
you stay
welcome.
warm.
That's
Stay
it.
warm,
I
Yes,
yes.
will.
everybody
Be-
stay warm.
Be careful out
Thank
there
you,
too.
Hans and Yetta.